Hello, it's Scott Manley here, and I am on vacation, as you may have guessed. I'm in a very snowy part of the world that is obviously not California. You know, it's Easter, I gotta do things with the kids, and of course I like skiing. So, I can't make my usual video game videos, and I decided that I would try and plan ahead this time. I asked people on Twitter what they would like me to talk about in, science type videos. And somebody asked if there was any theories that I like that have since been debunked. So I decided to take my own tack on this and address science that I was taught at school, which has turned out to be completely rubbish. For example, I was taught that Mercury is tidally locked to the sun, and that is bogus. It actually rotates relative to the sun. But if you looked at the Mariner mission that flew past Mercury in the 60s, it flew past twice, and both times it flew past, exactly the same face was facing the sun. So that provided some compelling evidence for a tidally locked Mercury. However, really what happens is Mercury rotates 3 times for every 2 orbits. And the space probe came back after 2 orbits, so of course it saw the same face. So there was some. It's understandable that my physics teacher would tell me this. Now, another example of something that was taught to me, which is perhaps understandable, was the Big Bang. Now, I was taught in fact, this is what we were taught at university, that the expansion of the universe was governed by gravity, and eventually, if there was enough mass in the universe would slow down and potentially come back together. There was some speculation as to whether there was exactly enough mass in the universe, and that was open to many, many questions. But it turned out in 1997, I think, that a paper changed everything. They discovered, by studying supernova, that the universe wasn't in fact slowing down, it was accelerating. It was being pushed apart by something called dark energy. And that, of course, has been a huge change to physics. We're trying to figure out, what dark energy is, and dark matter, for that matter. So, that was very cool. So another thing that I was taught, much younger, I was in probably primary school, and there was a poster on the wall that talked about mining the ocean floor, and there was a photo of a ship that was doing this. It was called the Glomar Explorer. This ship was out in the Pacific trying to mine the ocean floor for manganese and other minerals. No, it wasn't. This was a cover story created by the CIA to hide the fact that the Glomar Explorer was in fact looking for the wreck of a Russian submarine. Turns out you can't build a huge ship and have it sitting around in the Pacific for months at a time without having a really good cover story. And this one was so good that science teachers believed it and put together posters of it and everything. Oh, that's amazing. Brontosaurus. Brontosaurus isn't a real dinosaur. It's actually the combined skeletons of an Apatosaurus and a Camarasaurus. Or I think it's Camarasaurus, yeah. I was taught that in 1946, the ENIAC from the University of Pennsylvania was the world's first electronic computer. That was, of course, rubbish, because there were secret computers in existence prior to that. For example, the Colossus, which I believe came online originally in 1943. It was, of course, a military secret, which is why nobody knew about it. Now, of course, ENIAC fans do like to point out, but the ENIAC was programmable. The Colossus you had to reprogram by, running wires around and things like that. But I counter that the original ENIAC in 1946 was only programmable by messing around with wires. It wasn't until 1948, September 1948, that the ENIAC was able to run a stored program. And by which point it was playing second fiddle to the Baby from Manchester, which came online in June 1948 and became the world's first stored programmable computer. Anyway, military secrets are cool. I was also taught that Galileo invented the telescope, and that's also bogus because there's plenty of evidence that other people were using telescopes before that, but it was not shared widely because, hey, being able to see your enemies from a long way away is a pretty good military advantage, so it was considered a military secret. Galileo probably was the first person to ever point a telescope at the sky, however, so he does have that credit. So I was taught that diamond was the hardest substance known to man, and I guess it was at the time that I was taught that, but since then we have discovered, or at least theorized, a crystalline form of boron nitride, which is indeed harder than diamond. Pluto, I was taught Pluto was a planet, is in fact not a planet, but it does qualify as a dwarf planet. I remember my craft teacher telling me that it was impossible to fold a piece of paper more than 7 or 8 times. And indeed, if you fold a piece of paper in alternate directions, it is quite hard to do that many. However, if you say get a big roll of paper, such as a toilet roll, and fold it along its length, and then, or fold it, in half, and then fold it in half again, and you could actually fold it in the same direction more than 8, 9, 10 times. So yes, even the most mundane things have fallen to modern science. So yeah, this is it. Science is one of these things that changes. Sometimes facts are hidden from us for military reasons. Sometimes facts are simply they are subject to better understanding of nature, and they don't stand up to real world observations. So, the universe is a wonderful thing, and I hope you guys come up with some really good questions that I can answer this week. I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.